Good morning, everybody. For the Dannevirke Community Board for the 16th of June. Welcome. Any apologies? Erina? Anyone else? Someone move that apology be accepted, please. Thanks, Terry. Ernie, thank you. No public forum. Any items not on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I just wondered if we could put on the agenda the Pukaha Mount Bruce issue at the moment. I know that's been well publicised at the moment, but just could we talk about that?
Yeah. Right.
And just a report on the girls in the Rose Garden, the guys and girls at the Rose Garden.
And can we also put on the agenda about the tree at Pongaroa? Just to keep it going.
Thank you very much. Declarations, conflicts of interest. Anybody? No? Someone move that the minutes of the last meeting be to and correct record, please. Thank you, Ernie. Thanks, Ron. Right. The Tauro District Council reports. Can someone move that the meeting on the 28th of May and extraordinary meetings 21st of May, 1st of June and the 11th of June be accepted, please? Yes. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Ron. Matters rising, we'll have a look at them one by one. We'll take the first one of the 21st of May, the extraordinary meeting where Terry and I put submissions in for the footpaths and the Y splash. Would you like to talk about that, Terry?
Well, I think it's pretty well reported what we submitted on for the footpaths and also the Y splash thing, and I noted that there's obviously work being done on both and a investigation into the car park, the house purchase for the car park. I've seen that, which is good, making progress.
Did we emphasise that the work needs to be done by locals in our submission? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I've just got a number of questions I want to ask, but I've actually got all of those council reports running together. Would you take questions from them?
Take them now.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make comment about the contestable fund round 2. We've now had 2 rounds for this new process, and I would like to know whether there is likely to be a review done of this process. It concerns me that the community boards, I believe, did a very good job in allocating funds within our community over a number of years. I did never see any issues with it, and I believe that it's time for, I don't believe that council should be involved with this sort of a matter. The community boards manage their wards and know the community, and they know the organisations within the community. So I believe that the community boards are far better, in a far better position to allocate funds within those areas. So I'd like to see a review of that in the near future.
Yeah, I quite agree with after watching the meeting. There was a wee bit of pull back on it, wasn't it? That they wasted a lot of time as a council of doing that. So I quite agree with you there, Terry. Should be re-looked at. Any other?
Yeah, I fully support what Terry says. I think when it comes to local community, we've got our finger on the pulse. People come to us all the time, and it's pretty difficult when we had our funding cut in half to actually achieve anything.
Yes, you have to wonder why have a community board, because that is part of our job to do that. And as you say, a lot of the community do come to us. Well, they do. And now we have to say, I know it's financial restraints and that, but yeah, it was something we were proud of what we were doing, and now it's been taken away, really. Cheers.
It kind of feels like it's a way of making us ineffective. That's how I feel. This is the second time I've been on the community board. I've been involved with council, and I think it's just the new way of making the community boards less and less needed. That's how I feel.
Tracy?
Thanks, Chair Pat. The councillors did have a conversation around what was supposed to be, I guess, what was supposed to allow greater transparency and especially accountability had led to quite a convoluted process for councillors. We did refine that, we did discuss that, and it was decided to continue with it. However, the makeup of those deciding would be changed. One of the comments that did come through was just the sheer volume of people that had applied right throughout the district that we'd never seen at a community board level. But look, it's something that council is continuing those conversations with, and I think, you know, be happy to, even after the next round, it was something that we couldn't change for the year, and that we've certainly learned some lessons along the way. But really, really pleased at the wide range of people that are doing that, and the transparency of opening that fund up and just seeing what we could make happen in the community. The community board still does have funding, and you have a significant role within the communities under the Local Government Act as community boards. So that was never the intention, to make a community board feel less valued. It was really around transparency. We cut the funds right over the board because, as you know, we had a cost of living crisis. But what these groups do within our community with this money is something that we just couldn't replicate. They do an amazing job, and it is Volunteer Week this week, so acknowledge all these amazing organisations that got that money.
Benny?
So we're going to clarify that the $5,000 we got's going towards the flag tracks, is that correct? Yeah. Just so that the community know what we're doing with it? Yeah.
Just talking about that, Mayor Tracy, that I know we've only lost 17,000, but we'd be looking at like the contestable fund. Would that stay with you people, or would we get it all, or if that happened?
If the fund went back to the old operating style. Good to remember, we are talking to all the community boards and committees throughout the area. Everyone did it differently, so we're trying to get a very accountable and transparent process. So the community boards still have funding. There is a chance, going forward, we can't guarantee that it'll even be at the $100,000, as we look to cut costs. Yeah, but look, those conversations will continue. It is a new process, and it's taken some bedding in. We've certainly learnt some lessons from it ourselves, and trying to make it simple for those volunteer organisations to apply as well.
Thank you. Terry, have you got something else there?
Sorry, the appointment of the council CEO. I realise there is a due process to go through, but I wondered if we could get a hands on what is happening with an interim CEO and when we are likely to see a new CEO appointed. Is it in the near future, or is it maybe going to be towards the end of the year?
The process of an interim CEO, I have something out at the moment. We're just in those timelines. My aspiration would be that we have an interim chief executive officer as soon as possible. Either, I guess the preference is actually for a little bit of time, maybe a week, a few days before Brian Nicholson departs, or as close to. So certainly working on that at the moment.
He's here till about the end of August, is that right?
6th of August is his final day.
Terry?
I guess a question for Mayor Tracy. Local water, well done, has now been fully discussed and approved. Tracy, could you tell us the process from here on in?
So the chief executives from each of the 4 councils are working together. We also have the Department of Internal Affairs offered a water expert to sit within that group, which the councils have all thought was a good idea as well. So they're in those negotiation stages to come back to council.
So, Mayor Tracy, when can we likely see, when will the process, is it later in the year we'll start to see the process?
No, the process is very clear. A water services delivery plan must be submitted to the Department of Internal Affairs by the 3rd of September. So you will see that prior to that. And speaking to the chief executive does need to sign that off, and it is Brian's aspiration that he will be carrying that out prior to his departure, because he's worked through that process. So it is certainly at pace, and I would envisage that council will get an update towards the end of the month. So the chief executive do meet weekly on that.
My next question is the solar system approval from Rangatane. Do we have an update on that, and is there a start date? Have you had any further information?
No, I haven't received any further information, but I know that they were pressing the green button once that approval had been given. So I think the project will move very quickly, but I have had no update. I'd envisage move into it'll be reported on. It isn't our project, but I'm sure Rangatane will be really keen to highlight that and guess, show the public, this is innovative technology for the use of a wastewater pond. So it'll have a high public interest, as well as, a success story to tell. We'll make sure that you get fed some information there so you're up to date.
Can we have some more clarification why we're not using some of the land around the ponds, like the old rubbish dump and that? Is it because the neighbours don't want it, or is someone's grazing it, and are we getting a return on the grazing?
That's a question that we have been asked in all of the wastewater ponds, because we do need to keep that grass down. I have asked whether community groups could have access or opportunity to rear animals, but it's really around the health and safety of that, and also who's in charge. They don't actually have, stock facilities at those locations. I'm not aware of anything being discussed around the old dump site or any further land at those areas.
There's already...
Sorry, I was referring to all of the wastewater treatment plants, because it's not the only place that stock are grazed. Depending on the land area and some of the purchasing, I've got another one at Pahiatua that I'm looking closely at too.
Thanks, Tracy. Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, with the imminent closure of the Dannevirke Information Centre, I'd just like to know what plans, I may have missed it of course, what plans there are for promotion of the service through other avenues, i.e. the service centre, and are we able to manage it with the current staffing levels at their service centres?
Ready?
And is this the reason why we've had a new community engagement officer employed? Is that part of the description or what?
Yeah, if you, yeah, Tracy.
Through you, Chair Pat. So the new community engagement officer is a replacement for the Kimberly Stevens. I can't remember what her role was. So that wasn't existing for a long time. It is not new because of the information centre or integrated services.
So the Chief Executive and team have been working with the customer service area, so the team there are all ready to go. I haven't checked in on the promotion, but it is a conversation that we're having, just so that people know where to go, and especially with we've got the Te Ahuaturanga, the Manawatu Tararoa Highway, we've certainly got plenty of visitors right throughout the district, so looking forward to that, and perhaps I'll catch up with Carter and we'll just have a talk around what the communications plan is a bit later, and getting that out on socials and making sure that everybody knows.
So do I understand then, Mayor Tracy, that the service centre will be taking bookings for buses and transport and things like that?
That's correct. The eyesight already do that to a large extent, so the team are all set up to do that. Also, with the show bookings, anything that was carried out is a good utilisation of staff. And I note that, when I look around the country, there are just so many information centres, libraries, service centres. It is efficient, and it's one of the efficiencies that we've looked to implement here as well. So ensuring its success is top of our mind.
That will be done at just at the front counter, like normal. Okay. Ron?
Just to add to all that, it's been a cost saving too to the people of the ratepayers of Dannevirke. Is that correct?
Correct. The funds that we were giving to the information centre for the running, but also the commission on the hall booking, all facilities are booked through council in the rest of the district, so that's as normal. So there will be that saving, and I think we'll still continue to look for other savings that we can make, whilst our focus has been on not losing any services for our community and for our visitors, but just how we can do that better.
Thank you.
It's also better utilisation of our buildings.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on those things? So move on to the draft and urban enhancement strategy. Everybody got a booklet there. Someone move that this be accepted. Thank you, Jerry. I'll second that. If we can make a submission on this if we would like to do that. So, yeah, so we can do that if there's no questions on that.
Can we find out why we didn't get it with our paperwork last week, so we had time to study it?
Yeah.
It says in the report that it is available on the website for viewing, and the copies that we brought today are more for you to distribute to the community if need be, but it is all available on the website.
Okay. Right, move on.
With respect, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just wondered, we've obviously got 3 documents which we need to review at the moment. There is this document, we've got the Freedom Camping document, and we also have the Reserves Management document which we need to review and maybe make submissions on. I'd like you to maybe we could organise a meeting to discuss these with the appropriate people within council.
Yeah, I was just about to organise that for this week, but our person is away I think she's away for a week, so we'll have to wait till she comes back. Yeah.
Through you, Chair Pat. So who were you? Right. You just need to be aware that the closing date, I think, is the 20th of June. So you don't have much time for the reserve management plan, and for the urban strategy, urban enhancement strategy is the 27th of June.
You think we need to stay after this one and get on with it? Or we're just going to leave it till the last minute?
I think we need to have another go tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree that we need to study these documents first. The earliest I could do is possibly tomorrow afternoon, but yeah, I'm limited as well.
Tomorrow afternoon then? What time? 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock. Okay. Right. Move on to the application of funding for the South School. This come in just before they actually had their reunion, so we didn't get it on the sheet quick enough, so they're looking for $1,237. Remove. $650, would that be okay? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Tracy.
Thanks, Chair Pat. Can I just clarify, Carter, the funding that is unused, does that carry forward into the following year? No.
Through you, Chair Pat, no, it is not carried. So it has to be used by the end of the financial year.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a point of discussion. This is the first year that we haven't been able to carry any unused funds forward, and I just think it's a bit of a bone of contention. I think it's a bit disappointing that, you know, we can't carry those funds forward to be used within our community.
Ellie?
Through you, Chair Pat. It is every year your grant money, if it's not used by 30th of June, it becomes zero balanced. What the board was doing was, it may have felt like you were carrying over, but you weren't. You were starting the next year with a clean slate, and then funding you'd committed in the previous financial year was actually coming out of your next year's funding. And so you're always playing catch up. So now we're making it quite clear through our papers to you that if it's not used by the end of June, the money is not there. There's no such thing as carry forward of operational funding, only for capital works. So happy to provide further clarification if needed.
So that means the money we've got allocated for the flag tracks, we need to get invoiced and spent by the end of the month. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So we
And that's outlined in the paper on your agenda for when you get to that item.
All right. We're going to move it for that. Oh, Tracy, sorry.
Thanks, Chair Pat. So I guess with that, after that half payment is made to Dannevirke South School, I would suggest that you have a discussion around the remaining funds. So whether that's flag tracks or whether you want to reconsider that decision, but this would be the meeting for that.
Yeah, we'll bring that up next, actually. So did we get a mover for that, for the 650s? We've got a mover. Okay. Right, flag tracks. We, as you know, we got 5,000 from the contestable fund. We've got 10,000 sitting. We know that we got sitting in our account there. Now I'll have to get a final figure on what we got. Would you know that, Ellie, or not?
If you go back to the previous item, I've got an outline of your budget on, I'll just find the page number for you.
1397 less 6.
It's on page 47.
$747 left, isn't it? Should we put that toward the flag tracks? I'll move that.
I'm happy to second that motion, Mr Chairman.
Might be good if Ali checks my maths, but
If it may help the board, if you did a resolution that said remaining funding in your account be spent on the flag tracks, then it doesn't have to be specifically to the cent.
okay, I'll change my motion to all our remaining funding.
I'll second that. All those in favour, please say aye. Yeah. Right, with the flag tracks, we'll have to work it out to know. I think it's about nine flags. We'll have enough there for 9. We're looking at. I've got two firms looking at sponsorship for the flags. One being for the spring festival, another one being for the Christmas ones. The only thing I'm got to get back to the joking is whether they can do writing on it, because these people that are sponsoring need their names on it to be fair, you know, to them. So we'll be looking at that. The money, you also, Ellie, you said the money can be passed on straight away, so we don't lose it.
Once the board has passed its resolution that we've recommended, noting that you're going to progress an order, we will raise the purchase order with the supplier so the funding's committed before the end of June and get the order through, so it is ordered before the end of the financial year.
Have got any questions on that? What do you want to know? Anything more about it? No? Quite happy with it? Yeah, Ernie?
I think the first thing is to get the flag tracks up, and then next month or the month after we can consider, because next month we'll have some new funding, we can say, look, let's start making some flags, or if you've got 2 companies that are interested in that, we can bring that back to next month's meeting. But I think the main thing is to get the tracks up in the meantime.
Really looking at one for the spring festival, which would be September, October, November. Yeah, that's when the spring festival, and then we can carry on one with Christmas from November, December, January. So
it's a pretty tight time frame, isn't it?
It's a tight time. We have to move on it to get it all up. So
Yeah, I believe that we need to develop almost a booking process similar to what we have for the signs on Stanley Street, so that people are aware of, you know, when they're available, and also we need to promote their usage to various organisations within our community. So it's a booking process so that people don't double book them and they've got them for a given period, and also, as I say, promoting it, the usage of them.
I think that with Matariki doing what they've done out there now, there's only going to be about 4 or 5 people that can put the flags up, because different parts of the year. So, so we'll have Spring Festival, we'll have Christmas, so there's half the year gone. So then you've got Matariki, so they'll probably only have things. Tracy?
Thanks, Chair Pat. Perhaps a calendar that appears in your community board agenda on a monthly basis, so you can actually have a look at this is when they're booked from, this is who's got them, and it's very transparent, and it's always in the community board conversation, so that people can come forward if they need them, and then I think that would help promote them as well.
So do we need to approach the two iwis and on behalf of the community board and say, what's the intention for Matariki, and get some kind of idea, so we've got just their interpretation of the use of them?
I'm not quite sure how we'd have to talk to Kanunu. I think they're the ones that are doing it at the moment, so I don't know how long they would want them for. So if everybody's okay, we'll go ahead with it. That's what I want to know. You're quite happy with that? Have we got a mover for that? Yep, thanks, Ernie. Seconder? Right, they're on. Right. Management report. Someone move that this be received, please. I'll move it. Is there a seconder, please? Thank you, Chair. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Any questions on? Do you answer these questions, or will you answer?
With regards to the pensioner flats and the new rental proposals, will the upgraded ones pay more than the ones that have been in there for years and years and years, that have never had any money spent on them? I've been asked by residents that are living in some of them, not just Dannevirke but also Woodville, saying, the ones that get vacated get done up and blinged up and all the rest of it, and a lot of the older ones and that could do with new curtains and bits and pieces like that. So is there a clarification of whether the upgraded ones are paying more than the ones that have been there forever?
Carter?
Through your chair, Pat, so all the units pay the same price whether they've been upgraded or not upgraded. So it's fairly consistent and transparent. We also have a maintenance plan for all the units. And what we are doing is we are replacing, when you have a resident talking about something that's old, so we're not really taking that into consideration, is whether it's functional or not. So we've got a really strict maintenance plan that we are making sure that it's compliance, it's health and safety is covered, and everything is functional, not necessarily new or old. But in terms of the rent paid, it's consistent. So it is the same rent for an upgraded unit or an older unit. Depends on how many bedrooms they have and other criteria. Thank you.
Tracy?
Thanks, Chairman Pat. Just wanted a couple of clarifications. So the curtains in the units are actually the responsibility of the person that is in that unit. That's consistent amongst them all. The other comment that I'd make is, as a good landlord, we very much try and make sure that all that maintenance is done. But it's also very difficult for those that are in the units when you've got showers being replaced and work being done, because that's their home. So there's always both sides of it, and we do talk to them regularly when that work's been carried out. So there are units that have had new carpet, and as those needs are assessed, and that's why that reserve is pretty pressed at the moment.
Terry?
Maybe a question for Carter, Mr Chairman. Pest control in our reserves, particularly likes of Anzac Park, is that actually carried out by the Horizons Regional Council? And is there any cost to the Tauranga District Council for pest control?
Your Chair, Pat. So the facilities team work very closely with Horizons. There has been a couple of changes to the way they're doing it, so I'll have to get that clarified by the facilities team. In terms of costs, I know that some of the costs we have to cover, but if it falls within the Horizons criteria, then they have to cover it. I'll just have to really clarify that for you.
All right. Oh, Tracy?
Thanks, Chairman Pat. I can probably clarify that because I did ask that same question in regards to Horizons. So there was no cost at Anzac Park. They had around 40 possums, which is quite a number, and they were doing some damage. The Norsewood Lions are also the kaitiaki of Anzac Park and do some weed and other measures within the reserve, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks, Ms. Tracy. Any other questions? Okay, move on. Election campaigns. Ellie, would you like to speak to this, please?
Thank you, Chair Pat. Yeah, we're fast approaching election time. We've got the 3-month period prior to the election, which is known as the pre-election period. That starts officially from the 11th of July. So I've been bringing a paper in front of the community boards, and we're bringing it to council as well, just to remind members who may be wanting to stand for re-election that there are some protocols that apply, because we have to be very careful that council resources aren't used to support the prospects of a sitting member in their re-election. So that means the protocols I've put in front of you is just reminding people about things like there can be no campaigning within, like, this meeting is council resource. It's not a place that it is appropriate to do any campaigning or, like, making your points of view known to voters and that sort of thing. So meetings have to be kept clear of any sort of electioneering, some people call it grandstanding, that sort of thing, trying to, raise your own profile for re-election. Other council resources, such as rooms that are not available for general hire, they can't be used for campaign meetings, so people cannot hire this council chamber to use as, a meet the candidates, unless it was being run for all candidates and they all had the equal thing, so you can't have your own little meetings or anything. Council social media platforms, they cannot have any electioneering on them, so you'll see in here that I've outlined that you can't tag council on social media about your campaign. You can share council's posts on your own social media, but you can't sort of link to any of council's posts. If you are using social media for election campaigning, note that there's rules within the Local Electoral Act about what must be on those pages if they're being used for campaigning. So they must have information on it, which be in there as well. Similar to billboards and things, have to have, like, the person who can be contacted about the sign, all that sort of stuff's got to be on it. So happy to answer any questions.
What happens if these are broken?
If it's a breach of electoral law, we have to refer it to the police.
Refer it to where?
Any breach of the electoral law, we have to refer to the police. But if it's for things like social media, we will just take down any post and manage it that way. And there's already information on Council's Facebook page about, and our website about not using those channels for electioneering.
And if money's involved, back to the police?
I'm not sure I understand in which
Or if
way
you're
you
paying
mean.
people to vote for you?
That is definitely not allowed. That is a breach of law.
I got no money anyway.
But even things like, and we'll be running candidate information sessions soon, 28th of June and 21st of July, and the electoral officer will outline the rules around what's known as treating, which means you can't even give away, a pencil to someone to encourage them to vote for you, or providing coffee, buying someone a drink or something like that. That's definitely a breach of law.
Any questions for Ali? No? Thanks, Ali. Thank you. So, reports.
Can we get a resolution on that one?
What's that?
Can we get a resolution on the report?
Oh, a mover on that one there, on the election campaign. Can we have a mover? Thanks. Seconder? Yep. Thanks. Right. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right, Terry, reports.
Right, okay, short report from me this month, Mr Chairman. Chamber of Commerce met just last week. The round of after fives is being planned. Next week we have an after five here at the Tarra District Council, and I think it's called Mythbusters. So that's the 24th here at between 5 and 5:30 meet. So I'd like to see all of the community board members present for that meeting, which will be really good. And we have other after fives planned for July and August. The good news for the Chamber at the moment is that, we are starting to plan for Christmas parade, believe it or not, which will be the first Saturday in December. And we have a local organisation, a local company, should I say, who's going to support us with traffic management. Okay, so that'll reduce the costs for traffic management for the parade, which is good news. Moving on to the Dannevirke Community Vehicle Trust, very much business as usual. Our patronage continues to grow in that area, and it's winter time, and we're seeing more and more passengers use the service. So that's from me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ron?
Yeah, maybe the Mayor can help me out on this one. I've got a letter here I went to a meeting, I've been to a couple of meetings now, representing the Community Board, of course, and also about this ongoing funding for the brass band, this historical claim, and no doubt they've sent you a letter, Mayor Tracy, so I'll let you answer the question. Is that possible, please?
Sorry, Board Member Wallace, it sits with the Chief Executive at the moment. So I can't give you an answer. It does sit with the Chief Executive. Yeah.
Oh, well, well, that's all we can do. If it's got to go to the Chief Executive, this was written to you've got a copy of this, I take it? Oh, good. All right. Oh, well, I'll go back with that to the brass band. It's with the CEO. Okay. Thank you. Just an update. Yeah, the brass band's going strong, yes. 137 years it's represented the town. So it's a pretty good thing to have. And they're just concerned where they are, and they just feel like there's been a lack of correspondence through this. So that's where we are, just passing on what they're saying in this letter. So other than that, that's me. Thank you.
Any?
Can you just clarify how much the funding used to be?
An answer to that, Ernie, it's not about what the funding was, it's more a principle. Yeah. No, there's no figure on this document. So, no, answer to your question, no. Cheers. Thank you.
Any? Okay, report.
I just report from the AMP. I went to the market day yesterday. It was a little bit small, but the weather wasn't that great. But everything's ticking along. The community garden's going from strength to strength, and I see they got a couple of grand out of the contestable fund. So it's just a matter of keeping everything tidy at the moment. There's another meeting tomorrow night which I'll be attending, so I'll have more idea what's going on, because the chairperson was away last month, so the meeting wasn't quite as big as usual.
Mayor Tracy, have you got anything from here or not? From here or not? No. No, good as. Okay. Right, move on to correspondence. Might come under someone move that the correspondence be accepted, the inwards and the outwards, please. Thanks, Ernie. Seconded, not seconded. All in favour, please say aye. We've got this one here, Dave Chadwick. You might want to talk about that. You've read the letter?
Yeah, just the update on time-wise on how we're going. We just got to wait for the process, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got the letter. So
Yeah, he's correspondence, so there.
Good.
Thank you.
And the other one was to the railway land for the thing that I wrote to them, fixing that fence. Okay, discussion items. Wackrow Memorial Award. Well, 10 people. Not too bad, I suppose. That's pretty good. So, what we'll do is, you've got all your judges organised in that room at the council office. So we've got the guest speaker organised. That's about all really, isn't it? We've got it all organised. So, got any questions on that?
Just clarify what day judging day is going to be.
23rd, was that right?
23rd. Of June or July?
July. See you somewhere. You got it, Terry?
I'd hate to miss it. All day, isn't it?
No, it's going to start at 20 past 10. Because you'll need to get there by 10 o'clock, and by the time you settle down. Terry?
Yeah, I think that we will organise a meeting of the judges about 9:30 on that morning to discuss the
You won't
process.
get into that room though. That room where your judging is booked up till 10 o'clock, that's why I've gone to. You could use the little one.
Yeah, okay. We'll meet at council. We'll find somewhere.
I'll find that later for you. And I'm pretty sure it's the 23rd of July, isn't it? 23rd. Spring Festival. The Spring Festival, we need to get it out there. I don't know whether anybody's been talking about it or not, or going to these clubs and organisations if they want to do something for Spring Festival. So, or do you want me to allocate you people some places to go and find out? No? No. Well, that's what we might do. I'll spread it around. Well, I actually Yeah,
Shall we talk about that tomorrow afternoon
yeah,
when we have the other
yeah,
meeting?
yeah, we'll sort it.
Make a
I'll bring a, that's all. The ones that did it last year are all on here anyway, so we can sort that out. Righto, current TDC consultations, does anybody know about that? Who put that in? Anybody?
So, like you mentioned earlier, there are 3 consultations going at the moment with Freedom Camping, the Urban Enhancement Strategy and the Reserves Management Plan. So really, you kind of covered it off a little bit earlier
Okay,
with the
we're
closing
doing it
dates.
tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Speed indicator sign on Smith Street, Ernie. No, Ron.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the update on that is going, because I was led to believe it was going to be, it was going to be up by the end of May. Just concerned about the speed they are still travelling down that road, or street, coming from a road to a street. If it's going to happen, it was accepted,
Yeah, it was
do I
accepted,
believe?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so is there any update on that, please?
okay, I'll get the update on it.
Thank you.
Right, Mount Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just sort of raised this observation or this question about what is happening at Pukaha Mount Bruce. Of course, as everybody knows, there's a lot of concern within the community since we've had quite a large investment in Pukaha, with $1 million, and recently we allocated or donated $12,000 to the fund as well. So we are pretty well invested in Pukaha. And like everybody, of course, we'd be sad to see the demise of Pukaha. So we'd just like to know what's happening with our investment and whether we have any guarantees of maintaining it.
You want to speak to that, Tracy?
Thanks, Chairman Pat. Certainly actively working. I can tell you that the board from Pukaha Mount Bruce have a new board stood up. That was discussed in the Wairarapa Times Age on Saturday, I understand. So the new chairman is Shane McManaway, and Bob Francis is also there. So I'm just trying to have a look. So Bob Francis is the deputy chair. So they have an entire new board working on that. Tarawera District Council have submitted the invoice for our interest payment, which was due in October. The first loan repayment was due in October 2026, and certainly in discussions with them. So you'll see a lot move in this space at the moment, but there are a lot of commercial sensitivities which I'm not at the liberty to share with you.
Yeah, through you, Chairman Pat, thank you, Tracy, for that information, because it is quite sensitive and there is a lot happening, and there's been a huge amount of media coverage on this at the moment, and I believe that our ratepayers and members of our community need to know what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chairman Pat. Look, and the Wairarapa councils are having the same. Pukaha Mount Bruce is the key entrance point for all our international tourists. It is an important facility that we hold, but I think it does also highlight a gap that we have as we're facing, every government department is facing cuts, and that is that, conservation work is expensive, and it's just it's something that we must do, but it is getting harder and harder to fund, like you're seeing with Anzac Reserve, and us doing possums there. So there's certainly some big conversations in that, and I do understand that there's some support coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Chairman Pat, sorry, it's not on the agenda, but I'd just like to raise or ask you the question: is the management of the sign above the town hall, the digital sign, will that be able to be managed remotely in the future?
I would hope it would be managed by the
Considering you
council.
put a lot of effort and energy into installing it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chairman Pat. I think the town sign will be managed through customer service as well, which will actually be a $500 a year saving to the community board because the Woodville eyesight also manage the digital sign at Woodville free of charge. So that'll be great.
yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. We'll still, the community board will still organise things that we want to put up there, so, yeah. Okay, we got next, Rose Garden, who was that? Right.
Yeah, down there yesterday on the Rose Garden, the girls are doing a fantastic job. They've done a report. Just to update, they've got about, yesterday there was probably 12 to 15 people there. Yep, 15. Excuse me. Total success, that's coming together. And as far as as far as sponsorship goes, they're getting a lot of people interested in $50 roses, donating. And the council, they're so pleased working alongside Kate with the Tauranga District Council, and all the rules and regulations have been done. So, yeah, they just want to say a big thank you, and it's just all positive down at the domain, yeah, the Rose Garden. Thank you.
Is there a wheelbarrow down there?
Thanks, Chairman Pat. The wheelbarrow is very heavy duty, and it's a good size, and it was well used on the weekend, as were the mitre 10 buckets that were donated. But the community's really gotten behind the project. The working bees that have been held, you know, the amount of work that is achieved by 15 people in 2 hours is just phenomenal, and I think you'll see those gardens transformed pretty quickly. Which is absolutely fantastic, and really looking forward to it. We got so much work done on the weekend, and they're looking forward and planning for planting, which will be awesome.
And I better hand on the report they've given us to give to the council to keep an update on how they're going. Yeah, well done. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Right, oh, the tree hongaroo. Ernie.
I just want to keep it on the menu so that it doesn't get lost. It was explained that it's under investigation, but the community's all up in arms and at me thinking that I've got some of it, and I just want to clarify I've got none of it. But people are concerned that it's happened, and they want to see an outcome. You know, next month will be 5 months since it was cut down, and we're not hearing anything yet.
Locals.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
locals.
Yeah. We don't want any finger pointing or anything like that. We just want to know what the outcome's going to be.
Anything else? No, no more. I declare the meeting closed, and thank you for your attendance. Okay.